Are you tired of watching your competitors launch new home builds while you're stuck waiting weeks? What if I told you I could show you how to start a brand new home build every 10 days? Stay tuned because I'm sharing my proven process that will supercharge your construction timeline and put you ahead of the game. By the end of this video, you'll have my exact proven process, the same system that allows me to build between 35 and 50 homes per year while I actually have time for my family and other interests. I've helped countless builders just like you go from using their own money, working 60, 80-hour work weeks, to build an efficient, profitable business that actually gave them freedom. Some of my students have gone from 2 to 3 homes per year to 15 plus homes per year in just 18 months. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the ring notification bell because we drop new content every week to help builders just like you scale and streamline your business. And we've created a free streamlined building process guide that goes perfectly with this video. It breaks down exactly how to organize your systems, manage multiple projects, and sequence everything to start a new home every 10 days. Click the link in the description to grab it now. And if you stick around to the end, I've got something special for you. All right, let's dive in. The first pillar starting a new home every 10 days is organization. When I say organization, I don't mean some basic spreadsheet or sticky notes on your dashboard. You absolutely have to have a robust project management software. This isn't optional if you want to scale. Here's why. When you're juggling multiple projects, everyone needs to know what comes first, second, and third. Your subs need notifications about when they're supposed to be on site, what exactly they're supposed to be doing, how many days they should plan to be there, and most importantly, immediate communication if something gets delayed. I see so many builders trying to manage everything in their head with basic tools, and that's exactly why they're stuck at 2 to 3 homes per year instead of 35 to 50. Let me give you a real example. I just started a project in Durham, North Carolina where we had major challenges. No water, no sewer, no power. We're building with water tanks and generators. Without the proper project management systems, this would have been a disaster. But because we have the processes and systems in place, we were able to pivot and continuously adapt while staying on schedule. The key is this: your project management system needs to do 3 things. First, it needs to automatically notify everybody in your supply chain about their responsibilities and timelines. Second, it needs to flag potential delays before they become problems. Third, it needs to keep everyone accountable to the schedule without you having to micromanage every single detail. When I first started, I was that guy running around putting fires out all day long. Now my 21-year-old daughter runs job sites because the systems are so clear. The second pillar is building a solid team of subs and suppliers. Your vendors are absolutely critical to your building company's success. Now here's something important. I don't work with giant companies as subs. Most of my guys are one crew contractors, and you might be thinking, Terry, how do you get reliable results from smaller contractors? It all comes down to how you structure the relationships and the scheduling. When you're building out your schedule, you want to stack projects so that a new house starts approximately every 10 days. If we're building a home every 10 days, that gives us somewhere between 35 and 50 homes to build every single year. But here's the secret. Sometimes we can stack them closer together. Instead of taking 10 days on one house, they might be able to knock it out in, let's say, 5 days when the houses are closer together. We have these conversations before we ever even get started. The key is building relationships with your subs where they understand your system and they can plan their crews around your schedule. When they know they have consistent work from you, they'll prioritize your projects. I spend time on each sub explaining exactly how our system works, what quality standards are, and how they fit into the bigger picture. They're not just contractors, they're part of the team. And here's something most builders get wrong. You need to have backup subs for every single trade. Not because your primary guys are unreliable, but because emergencies happen and you can't let one delay destroy your entire schedule. The other critical piece is your suppliers. You need relationships with suppliers who understand your volume and can commit to delivery schedules. When you're doing 35 plus homes a year, you have buying power. Use it. As you already know, my 21-year-old daughter is the one out there building. She's on site every single day, and this is something I trained her on over the past several years. But here's what's important. She's not successful because she's family. She's successful because she has systems and processes to make the project manager role reproducible. When I first started building, I thought I had to be on every job site every single day. That's a recipe for burnout and why most builders can't scale past a few homes a year. The breakthrough came when I realized that with the right systems, processes, and training, almost anyone can manage a construction project effectively. Your project manager needs to understand these three things. First, they need to know the sequence of construction and how each trade depends on the others. Second, they need to understand quality standards and be able to spot problems before they become expensive fixes. Third, and this is crucial, they need to know when to call and when to make decisions on their own. We have clear decision trees for our project managers. If it costs less than X dollars and doesn't affect the critical path, they handle it. If it's bigger than that, they call me with the recommendation on the solution, not just the problem. This frees me up to work on the business instead of in the business. I can focus on finding new lots, secure financing, building relationships with lenders, and growing the operation. The goal isn't to replace yourself with family members. It's to create systems so clear that you can train reliable people to execute your vision. Here's where most builders go wrong, and it's the most important part of my entire system. You have to build everything on paper before you ever break ground. We spend more time building houses on paper than we do in the field. And that might sound backwards, but hear me out. While it might only take us 90 to 120 days on average to build one of our basic style homes, maybe 5 to 6 months for a bigger luxury home, we spend about that exact same amount of time, sometimes even longer, in design and planning phase. We're talking about architecture, engineering, surveying, landscape design, cabinet design. Every single detail gets figured out before we order the first load of concrete. Then we go through and we price everything out. We get proposals from everybody to make sure we know exactly how much this house is going to cost us to build. Once we have all of this data and we know our exact costs, then we obtain a construction loan. Only after we have financing and permits do we break ground. We create a detailed schedule from day one to completion. Every trade, every delivery, every inspection is mapped out in advance. Here's why this matters. When you get into the field, there should be no questions and no confusion. I'm not saying that things aren't going to come up. This is construction. We're always dealing with people. There are always surprises. But when you've done your homework up front, you can handle the unexpected without derailing your entire project. Most builders start building before they finish their planning part. They think that they're going to figure it out as they go. That's why they have cost overruns, schedule delays, and endless stress. When you build on paper first, you catch problems when they're cheap to fix, not when you've got concrete poured and a crew standing around waiting for answers. This planning phase is where you actually make your money. The construction phase is just executing a plan that's already been proven profitable. Even with the best planning, things can go wrong. Construction is unpredictable. People make mistakes, weather happens, suppliers have delays. The difference between successful builders and those who struggle isn't that successful builders don't have problems. It's because they have systems for dealing with problems quickly and efficiently. Like I mentioned, at this project I started in Durham, we have no water, no sewer, and no power. We're building with water tanks and generators. A less prepared builder would have shut down and blown their timeline completely. But we have processes and systems for exactly these situations. We have backup plans for our backup plans. When something goes wrong, we don't panic. We follow our problem-solving system. First, we assess the impact on the critical path. Will this delay affect our other trades? Second, we look at our options. What are 3 different ways we could solve this? Third, we can make decisions quickly and communicate it for everyone affected. Fourth, we document what happened so we can prevent it or handle it better next time. The key is that everyone on the team knows this process. My project managers don't have to call me for every hiccup because they know how to work through the decision tree. This is how you maintain quality, stay on schedule, and keep a clean job site even when everything seems to be going wrong. Now let's talk about the financial side, because this is where most builders really struggle. Most builders are using their own money to fund projects, and that's keeping them small and stressed. You simply cannot scale when every project ties up your personal capital for 6 to 12 months. The breakthrough comes when you learn to leverage other people's money. This isn't just about getting construction loans. It's about understanding private lending, building relationships with investors, and structuring deals that don't drain your personal finances. When you're not using your own money, you can have multiple projects running simultaneously. That's how we start a new home every 10 days while maintaining cash flow. But here's the real game changer, the build to rent strategy. Instead of selling every house, we keep some as rental properties. These properties generate ongoing passive income that continues long after construction is complete. I have students who have gone from struggling to build 2 to 3 homes a year using their own money to building 15 plus homes a year and keeping several as rentals. The passive income from those rentals gives them the financial security and freedom that selling alone could never do. The key is running the numbers on every project both ways, as a sale and as a rental. Sometimes the rental strategy makes more financial sense, especially in appreciating markets. This strategy allows you to build wealth instead of just making a living. You're not just building houses, you're building a portfolio of income-producing assets. All right, so you've seen the system that allows me to start a new home build every 10 days. Let me break down exactly what you need to do to implement this in your business. First, audit your current systems. Do you have a project management software that actually manages projects, or are you still trying to keep everything in your head? If you're serious about scaling, invest in proper tools. Second, evaluate your team. Do you have reliable subs who understand your systems, or are you constantly dealing with surprises? Start building these relationships now. Third, look at your project management situation. Are you the bottleneck in every decision, or do you have someone who can run your projects without you? If you don't, that needs to be your next hire or your next training priority. Fourth, examine your planning process. Are you building on paper first, or are you figuring things out as you go? The planning phase is where you make your money. Don't shortcut it. Fifth, look at your financing strategy. Are you using your own money for everything, or are you leveraging other people's capital? This is often the biggest limiting factor for builders who want to scale. Finally, consider the build to rent strategy for your next project. Run the numbers and see if keeping it as a rental makes more sense than selling it. Here's the thing, the system works. I've taught it to hundreds of builders, and those who implement it see dramatic improvements in their efficiency, profitability, and quality of life. But you have to be willing to think differently about your business. You have to shift from being someone who just builds houses to someone who builds a business that happens to build houses. Look, if you're feeling stuck or on the verge of burnout, I want you to know that there's a better way. The strategies I've shared today are not theoretical. They're proven systems that work for builders who are willing to implement them. The question isn't whether the system works. It's whether you're ready to stop doing things the hard way and start building a business that actually works for you instead of against you. Remember that free streamlined building process guide I mentioned in the beginning? If you haven't grabbed it yet, click the link in the description right now. It's a perfect companion to everything we've covered today. It will help you implement these systems immediately. If you want to learn more about how to implement these systems in your business, I've got resources for you. Check out my other videos on the Home Building Blueprint YouTube channel where I dive deep into each one of these topics. And if you're ready to take this to the next level, click the link in the description below and let's set up a call to talk about your goals, what you currently have going on, and how I can help you get to that exact point. Now, speaking of building efficiently, next week I'm dropping a video that's going to save you massive headaches and costly delays. If you've ever been confused about zoning regulations or worried about whether you can build what you want, where you want to build it, this video is going to cut through all of that confusion. I'm going to show you exactly how to navigate zoning laws with confidence so you can build without unnecessary delays and expensive mistakes. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so you don't miss it, because understanding zoning law is absolutely critical to starting projects every 10 days like we talked about today. Remember, you don't have to figure this out alone. The builders who succeed the fastest are the ones that learn from someone who's already been where they want to go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Until then, keep building your success.